like it. Paint it, we'll take care of the rest.
Today, we're gonna talk about brushes. Not hairbrushes, not toothbrushes, not makeup brushes, but paintbrushes. For someone who's never painted before, figuring out what brush to use can be really confusing. There's all kinds of specialty brushes. And if you go to a craft store, you're gonna see a whole aisle of brushes. And it's enough to just confuse you enough to talk yourself out of even trying. So when you buy a set of brushes, oftentimes you'll get more than you need. You'll have duplicates of the same type of brush, just in different sizes. Like this kit has about 10 brushes in it. And on the back, it has a brush guide telling you what each of these brushes specializes in. So that's really handy. Most brush sets will come with that. This brush set has 40 pieces in it. A little overwhelming at first, but it also came with this insert. It explains what each of these brushes does with an example. So with this kit that came with 40 pieces, I've whittled it down to these. We're going to just keep it simple. Okay. Fan brush, flat brush. Here's a smaller flat brush. We have some detailed brushes. This is a round detailed brush. This is called a filbert. Funny name, useful brush, kind of like a flat brush, but it's a little thicker and it has a rounded edge. Lots of little things you can do with this. We're gonna use it for blending. This is an angled brush. And then I have this other little tiny detailed brush. So, and all those brushes you will find in most brush sets. Okay, so I've got an idea. I want to paint this leaf. And I've got my colors. I've got my setup here. I'm right-handed, so I set my water up and my blotter for my brushes. But I need to know what brushes to use, and I've narrowed this down to just the basics. So we're just gonna stick with a fan brush and a flat edge brush, which there's different sizes, and an angled brush, and some of our round detail brushes. So the first thing I did on this was I covered the whole surface with a background color. Okay, so this color is the same as this color, it's just dried. Also, I've layered a darker color over the light color that I fan brushed on there. So I'm gonna go in with kind of a good color for shade, using this angled brush to get in the corners here. Now there's another brush called a filbert that is good for blending, and you can basically do the same thing where you can pull this out, where it's a little hard to see while I'm painting, but you can see how it looks here. Now, this glaze is going to change once it's in the kiln, so I am kind of guessing how these colors are going to blend, but I'm thinking, because I'm using various greens, colors found in nature, that they're all going to look good together. I don't really have a specific color or outcome in mind. I just think that all these greens will look nice together. And this is pretty much background. What I'm doing is background colors because I'm gonna go over it with the detail brush and add more of these little lines. So now I'm going to add these detail lines fact, I'll let this one dry a little bit and go from here. Now you can use the fine detail brushes, the teeny tinies is what we call them here, the teeny tinies, but they're detail brushes, but there's also flat detail and round. The round ones, I think, hold a little more paint, so you can do more of a flow. I started out with the round one, and it had so much paint on it, the line ended up a little thicker than I liked. So I can go back and clean that up later, so I'm not worried about it. But this flat brush, I prefer because I feel like I can have a little more control. And if I run out of paint, that's okay. So can you see that okay? But I can get really skinny with that. And because these are veins on a leaf, it's okay if it fades a little and it blends with the colors underneath it. I figure that's what we would see in nature. I would maybe show a couple of these other little tricks though, that you can practice with for other types of designs. I'm kind of been going for a realistic look, but you can also go very decorative. A lot of folk art and henna type designs use this sort of style where this is just a medium round brush, and you can make this design where you make a little dot. So there's probably a technical term for this, but little swirlies and that sort of thing. This round brush is good for that. It's good for dots, of course, but if you make a dot and then pull up on it, you can get different thicknesses and make swirls and other little decorative things. So you get your round brushes in all kinds of sizes. So that's good for some dot making. So this is a little trick with this same round brush to make a heart. If you can make a circle here and just pull that down, basically that same shape, and then you just put another circle over here and pull that over. You can make a bunch of little easy hearts that way. Just bring it to a point, and then you put your other little dot, like that. Great leaves, yes. There's a lot of things you can start by just making a circle and then pull it to a point. You could make that a leaf like that. With both of these, I put a layer of a very light green 96 thinly over the whole surface using a fan brush. The point is to cover a lot of surface thinly and just as a base coat, really. Then I went over into these smaller sections using the flat brush and the angled flat brush. I also used what's called a filbert brush. It's about the same size with the rounded edge to blend those colors together so that it kind of will create this shading effect. This is a thicker brush, so it'll hold more paint, but then it allows you to kind of smooth it around and create that shading effect. So we had these pieces that were broken. They are perfect for making samples and practicing. So we've taken these out of the kiln, and these are great examples we're going to use to show people the different things that brushes can do. Like we demonstrated with our fan brush, our flat edge brush, the angled, and the small detail brush. This is just getting started with just a couple brushes. You know, we could spend an entire video demonstrating the different things a fan brush does. We just wanted to cover some basics, and so now you've got a starting point, and with these basics, you could make this sort of type of painting. Very simple.
Pick it, paint it, we'll take care of the rest.